Right, 2 May 2024, and today I'm going to be giving you yet another update, as usual, very consistent at Gambakwe Media, and I hope that we'll be able to grow this brand so that we have a powerful media in Zimbabwe. That is our objective. We want the media in Zimbabwe to be effective and to make a difference in the change that is coming. Zimbabwe is currently undergoing massive change, and I'll be guiding you through all these changes as they happen. So today I've got a lot of things to cover, so I'll be moving very fast, and we want to start looking at what is happening with Auxilia Mnangagwa's rallies. So as I've been showing you over the past 3 to 4 months, Auxilia Mnangagwa has been going around the countries all over Zimbabwe, Victoria Falls, Manicaland, the universities, and also even the young kids recently. And what has happened is that recently, in the past week, everything has just suddenly came to or ground to a halt. Auxilia Mnangagwa's activities have totally stopped, and her dominance in the public media in the past week has reduced significantly. In fact, you can barely see Auxilia Mnangagwa on the public platforms anymore. It seems like she has just given up. She's thrown up her hands and said, I give up. And I don't know what this means for her plans with her sons. Remember, Auxilia Mnangagwa has been pushing for her sons to take over. After Mnangagwa's third term bid flopped, she then decided to go for a plan where she would put one of her sons as the next incoming president of Zimbabwe. So General Chiwenga, he basically has now an opportunity to go in without much resistance. So these guys have given up. The Mnangagwa family, the sons, at least the plan with the sons, they appear to have given up very quickly and suddenly. It's as if they just sat down in a meeting and said, this is not the way to go. Let us stop. If you look in the past week, Kuda Mnangagwa from the finance ministry, he has disappeared. And the young guys, when they went to the ZITF, I think it was an attempt to see and test the popularity that they have. And it became impossible for them. You could see that the security had to be tightened significantly around the Mnangagwa family. And this is where everything is. I think the Mnangagwa family does not understand the security threat around themselves. And this is what is making everything very difficult. And I think, as I said now, General Chiwenga now has the opportunity to start building his plan going forward. And I always say General Chiwenga has a plan, because has an opportunity, because he is next in line. And if he does not act now, what will happen is eventually other people are going to come in and they're going to take the food, literally take the food from his mouth. That is what is going to happen if General Chiwenga doesn't make a move. And the move that General Chiwenga needs to make is to make sure that he asserts himself as the incoming president of Zimbabwe. So that is from the ZANU-PF perspective. General Chiwenga needs to say and make it clear that he's ready to take over. He's ready to be the incoming president of Zimbabwe. He is ready to build a team, and he's got a plan. So currently, what is missing is General Chiwenga coming out and saying, I am going to be taking over as the president of Zimbabwe, and this is what I want to do. This is what the things that I need to change. We've seen what he has done with the projects. Whenever Chiwenga takes over a project, people listen to him. If you look at any of the projects that Mnangagwa has started, if they bring in General Chiwenga into that project, it will work. And I also see that when he came back from Iran, he made some announcements on the visas. He made some announcements on the scholarships. So there is a bunch of scholarships to Iran, and there's also a bunch of changes to the visas. If you want to go to Iran, you no longer need a visa. But I'm not really excited about any relationship between Zimbabwe and Iran, because there's nothing in Iran. The only thing that you can get from Iran is the drones. So I think if you were to look at the drone program of Iran, that is something that General Chiwenga should have looked at. And I hope that he managed to get a few drones, especially for security purposes. So the Zimbabwe government has got a massive problem of failing to patrol the borders. So I hope that General Chiwenga managed to get some drones. And a typical drone can fly for between 2 and 4 days without needing to come back. So if you were to do monitoring and give it a plan to monitor the perimeter or the border of Zimbabwe, let's say with Mozambique, it's also very important to know how that can be put into the security plan of Zimbabwe. So currently, Zimbabwe is wide open. You saw what happened. I was talking about the failure to monitor even the areas around the barracks. They're unable to monitor these, and a drone would be able to look at what is happening on the ground and notify if there are any discrepancies or things that are not usual. So I hope that General Chiwenga was able to procure 1 or 2 drones there, although the Iran drones are mostly being used for attack, but I'm sure they have other drones that can be used for monitoring purposes. So what you are seeing now is things move very, very quickly. Things are going to shift very, very quickly. So every week that comes, you're going to have a new thing happening in ZANU-PF. The two factions are testing each other's strengths. So first, you saw what was happening in the military with all the changes. That was the Mnangagwa faction trying to assert themselves. Then you saw the lectures. I showed you all the lectures that were taking place here. The ministers and non-military people going to the military to lecture them, lecture senior officials, try to change their mind. That didn't work. That is stopped. You have seen the change of command. And you know what the change of command means. Someone who is in control of the military decided to make change of command. And then last week, you saw that terrible, terrible accident that resulted in the death of 4 soldiers. So things are going to move very, very quickly. But currently, this week, it's like when people are doing arm wrestling. This week, the Mnangagwa faction is down, and Auxilia Mnangagwa has stopped. Whatever she was doing, she suddenly decided to stop. And I think they no longer have budget for this. And Anna Barbara, you can see now Barbara is going to be wandering around. She won't know what to do, whether she's a minister of tourism or minister of cooking. So it's going to be very, very difficult for them. But all I can say is right now, as things stand, in ZANU-PF, the Chiwenga faction now has the upper hand. And what I said, I think that was on Monday, with intelligence, to say whoever has the best intelligence, whoever has got the most information, and whoever has got the most willingness to crush the other side, that is the person that is going to take over in ZANU-PF. So that is between the Chiwenga faction and the Mnangagwa faction, because the third force, what they'll basically do is to wait and see which side is weakest, and they go over there, they crush that side first, then they go to the stronger side and crush it. So that is what is going to happen. And currently you're watching a serious development in ZANU-PF, which includes top leadership of ZANU-PF and the military factor. So there is a military factor in everything that is going to happen. And the military guys, they're going to sit back and watch, because they've got a longer term strategy. The military guys have got a strategy of their own, especially the new guys that are coming. They won't want to be used by the politicians. So I think that is clear. Let us watch what will be happening. I'll be following this very, very closely as we go within ZANU-PF. Now let's go to CCC, and particularly to Nelson Chamisa. Nelson Chamisa yesterday came out and he has said for the first time that he's ready to act. You can go and check out the video statement or the audio statement by Nelson Chamisa from yesterday. Chamisa is ready to act. He's not going to wait for 2028. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Dr. Clarence to come back here and look at the options. So this morning, Dr. Clarence is going to look at the options that Chamisa has got. Where is Chamisa going to go next with the Blue Movement? And there are quite a number of options that are there on the table. And Dr. Clarence is quite capable of unpacking what needs to be done by Chamisa. I know what Chamisa is planning to do, and it all depends on how Zimbabweans are willing to support Chamisa, because Chamisa has got the necessary popularity among Zimbabweans. But everything that Chamisa is going to do will depend on how Zimbabweans are willing to act. So going into August, when SADC comes into Zimbabwe, Zimbabweans will have to make certain actions to support Chamisa, and that will determine if Chamisa succeeds or not. Now let's run down through the news And we also Mnangagwa's Workers' Day message, very, very weak. Mnangagwa is not doing well at all in terms of communicating. I do not know who's advising Mnangagwa, but his communication is very, very weak. And we saw the statement by Mnangagwa yesterday on Workers' Day. He does not take responsibility for anything that is happening. In fact, he's blaming the private sector. So you can go and check out the statement by Mnangagwa. It's there on all his platforms. Mnangagwa does not understand what the problems are in Zimbabwe. So currently, the problem in Zimbabwe is at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Do you know how long I've been telling you that the problem is at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe? The problem at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is that they do not understand how much cash or the lack of cash affects trade, and also how much corruption affects trade. So what has happened at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe this week, the release of the ZIG and failure to satisfy the market is crazy. There's no country in the whole world where they don't have cash. So I can take you to any country right now, Southern Africa, Europe, anywhere. There is no country where they don't have cash. Zimbabwe is the only country in the whole world with cash shortages, because cash is just a matter of printing it and putting it out there. And at the moment, the mistake that Mshavano has made is that he has released cash into the market. The cash is not available at all places. So it's not available where it's supposed to be. And when the cash is available, there's also been massive problems with the balances. So what they've done is banks have simply changed money into ZIG, and there's been no audit. So there is billions and billions that have currently been created by the banks. When you eventually do an audit, you see that the banks have created billions and billions of the new ZIG, because the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe does not have capacity to audit. So what we call a data reconciliation project, where you say, how much did you have when you started and how much do we have now? So that is where the problem is. The next thing that we're going to see is a sudden and unexplainable drop of the ZIG, because electronically the balances won't balance. So the balances in the banks have created money, and Anamshavan, they don't have a way of checking what has happened there. They don't have a way of checking what has happened in EcoCash. And yet, what they should have done is to do more cash, physical cash, which they can manage. And Anamshavan have failed to do that. You see the problem as it arises. And Professor Kuda Mnangagwa has said yesterday that the ZIG has got exactly 6 months before it goes to zero. So the ZIG will go to zero within 6 months. There'll be, so we currently have the Zimbabwe dollar here, which just went to zero. The ZIG will suddenly and parabolically go to zero within the next 6 months. And I've been saying this to you. You should watch this important statement by Professor Kuda Mnangagwa. It's not a joke and it's not a hoax. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is the problem, and the banking sector is the problem. If you look at what we call suspense balances, balancing, so what they use to balance accounts, the branch balances, and the actual, let's say, dormant accounts, things like that, those need to be audited. The Reserve Bank has not done that. And we have the electronic balances in places like EcoCash, which you want to know what is happening, but the money that is in the system currently in the ZIG and what the Reserve Bank think is in the economy is not what it is there. And you will see it very, very quickly. Corruption is rampant because the banking sector of Zimbabwe is the ones that are doing money laundering, and the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe won't want to address it. So you will see what is going to happen. Professor Kuda Mnangagwa is correct. There's going to be a parabolic collapse of the ZIG coming very, very shortly within the next 6 months. So we've covered those two topics. Let's quickly run through other things. As I said, I want to run through all these things very quickly because today is my gym day. Let's look at, all right, we've looked at Chiwenga, we've looked at the ZIG. Now let's go to SADC. The SADC chairperson, Mr. Elias Mahosi, was in the, he met the World Bank and United States officials. So you can go and look at SADC. They had a meeting there. He also met with, I think it's Victoria Kwakwa, if I'm not mistaken, So you can see the pictures there. He also met with United States officials. And SADC has got a serious decision to make regarding Mnangagwa. As I said to you, Mnangagwa is not next in line to be chairperson of SADC, but Zimbabwe will be hosting the SADC summit in August. So if they make a mistake and put Mnangagwa as the next SADC chairperson, SADC is going to lose all this funding that they're looking for. So they're currently looking for funding. SADC is starting to struggle as we speak to get funding because of the contagion effect of Mnangagwa. No one wants Mnangagwa to be in anything. Mnangagwa is accused of rigging the elections, and no one takes Mnangagwa seriously. If he becomes the chairperson of SADC, then you will see that people will distance themselves from SADC, especially the funders. They won't want to be involved with SADC. Then I want to look at other topics here. Let's quickly go and run down through everything that we've got. In Bulawayo, we've got 3 CCC MPs that have been taken to court. And I saw Promise Mkwananzi is looking for support for their bail money. So you can go to Promise Mkwananzi's Twitter. You will see that there are 3 MPs here who've been arrested for defacing posters, and they were granted $300 bail. So these are the MPs here, and this needs to be paid by the 31st of May. So you can check it out on Promise Mkwananzi's Twitter. That is Simbarashe Dube, Councillor Lavo Mwinde, and Alderman Rafa Moyo. These are the 3 CCC representatives in Bulawayo who need funding. And in terms of other things happening, we've got, so as I said, we've got a lot happening today, and you almost find it difficult to cover everything. We have Kuda Tagwire and Sandra Tagwire. They are running an outreach program in Domboshawa. So you can go and check that out. They've sent out 15 doctors to treat people. So the 15 doctors went out to treat the community of Domboshawa. And this is one of the attempts. Obviously, Kuda Tagwire owns a big, massive hospital called Arundel Hospital. And he is trying to take this around the whole country. So I don't know how this is going to work and what is the game plan for Tagwire. But Tagwire and his wife, they are now going to go all over the country with this outreach program, and they want to treat as many people as possible under a program called the Bridging Gap Foundation. So if you just type Bridging Gap Foundation, that is the foundation that Tagwire is going to be using. Tagwire is SDA, Seventh-day Adventist, just like President Hakainde Hichilema, and he's very passionate about treating people because Tagwire almost died. And if you Google how Tagwire almost died, you'll see what he's talking about there. That's why he's passionate about treating people. And then we've got events that are taking place on Friday. We've got the Ezekiel Guti Walkathon. So that is something that will be happening. You can Google all the Ezekiel Guti platforms, the Zayoga platforms. That will be on Friday. And it starts at 6 a.m. for 4th of May. You can go and check out and also participate if you want. There's also a concert at Braeside, Zayoja, in the evening. That will be featuring people like Fungisai. Fungisai, one of my favorite artists. But let me tell you what happened one day. So Fungisai, we sent one of our journalists to a house. I think that was 3 years ago. And when the time for the interview came, she grew cold feet and then she didn't do it. So we had to call back our journalist from her house. So no hard feelings though. It's all good. Now let's go to the other functions that are taking place on Friday. That is Zimpraise Ensemble is going to be at Harare Garden. So this one you should attend if you're in Harare. Zimpraise Ensemble is got people like Pastor G and a bunch of other people. It's going to be on Friday night. So you can check out this one here. That's Zimpraise Ensemble. Although it has become unsafe to walk in Harare, according to our guys in Harare, it has become unsafe to walk around the Harare Gardens. Security is very poor and people are getting mugged even during daylight. So I hope that they improve the security here. So these are the people that will be there, Dorcas Moyo, Pastor G, I don't know what the other guys are, but you can check out this poster. I'll put it on Gambakwe.com. The guys are going to be over there performing. So when I was in Zimbabwe, I went to one of the restaurants and I had the good fortune to meet Pastor G. We spent a few minutes over there talking together. So Pastor G, very good and he's managed to stay in Zimbabwe for a very long time. I don't know how he does it. Most people fail to survive in Zimbabwe, but he stayed over there. And then obviously my Titi, she's gone crazy. She's been posting crazy live videos after she was deported from the UK. She went to the UK without the proper papers, and she was returned at the airport. And then she's been going wild on live stream. And as I said, we've offered her counseling and her daughter. This is too open. I've asked my guys to call her, and they've called her, and she's not accepted the counseling offer for herself and for Felicia. So this is up to her. But I think it's very important for my Titi to get proper counseling, because she's damaging a brand online with what she's doing. But it's not my problem. We've offered the counseling. If she wants it, she can take it. And as I said, I always believe that Prophet Advocate Joshua and my Prophet Advocate Joshua, they are the right people to do counseling. I've seen them doing counseling to a lot of people. And Prophet Advocate Joshua, my favorite prophet in Zimbabwe, he's got a gift of multiplication. I always recommend him to many, many people. Very, very wise people, person. And also, Passion Java is going to be holding an event in Harare. So I'm not very clear about the details of what Passion Java is going to be doing, but you can go and check his platforms. Passion Java is going to be holding an event. He's already in Zimbabwe, and I saw him with Prophet Advocate Joshua yesterday or the day before. They took a picture together. So follow those guys. Those are the people that I can recommend to you. Although people call me and they say, Gambakwe, you are supporting Java, but Java hangs out with Scott Sakupanya, and you always slam Scott Sakupanya over the death of Pastor Messiah, but you say you support Passion Java. And I always tell people that I do not believe that Passion Java supports the death of people or supports the lack of investigation by the police of the death of Pastor Messiah. I think the problem with the Zimbabwe police, these guys, they don't understand their job. So Ananyati, they don't know if they're police or thieves. And Anamatanga, they don't know if they are police or thieves. No one said you must not investigate the death of a person when he's campaigning. So this thing of not investigating, it's on people like Ananyati, Anamatanga, the Zimbabwe Republic Police, the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. These things need to be investigated. We don't have to come here every day and say investigate the death of Pastor Messiah when he was campaigning in Mavuku. That doesn't have to be done every week, but we'll do it until you investigate. This will eventually be investigated. There's no one who's going to die in Zimbabwe and they just disappear, and it won't happen. And we'll make sure that it won't happen. That people forget about Pastor Messiah. It won't happen. And the police should rather start now to investigate, because we'll make it our job to make sure that the death of Pastor Messiah is investigated. And I hope that everyone here will support me in making sure that there will be no other person that is killed when campaigning and then their death goes uninvestigated. We want responsibility. We want accountability. We want the people who did this to be found, to be arrested, and to be thrown in jail. They have to be. So let's make sure that that is done. Mapurisa, atidi vanhu vanongopfeka zvimasutu nezvimabhachi for nothing, and nezvimaglass nezvimashedhe zvakapera. So that is why I'm saying this. Are you police or are you thieves? If you're police, investigate the death of Pastor Messiah. Stop doing what you're doing right now. Police in Zimbabwe and Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission, don't just sit there enjoying coffee and not doing what you need to do. You need to do it, and we're going to say this on a daily basis. Then I want to go to some entertainment news. There's an artist here called Keith Zenda. He's very interesting. I saw him showing the portrait of President Ruto, so you can go and check out his work. It's called Keith Zenda, and he has done some portraits of President Ruto, Wikno Chivayo here, and then he has done a painting of Mnangagwa. So he's done a painting of Mnangagwa when Mnangagwa was much younger over there. And there's also another artist called Joseph Nyakwenga. So everyone is drawing Mnangagwa, right? So I'm going to find an artist who's going to draw Chamisa. So this week we'll find an artist that is going to draw Chamisa, and I'm going to bring him here. We want to see who's got the better looking portrait. Mnangagwa here by Keith Zenda and Joseph Nyakwenga. So you guys, if you're watching me, Joseph Nyakwenga and Kithizenda, you better start drawing Chamisa now. I want to see that portrait of Chamisa very, very soon. Otherwise, we'll be competing with you there. And then obviously the Commonwealth has started a project, a water project in the Zambezi. They are funding this project in the Zambezi. Very, very interesting project. You should go and check it out on their platforms. It's the Zambezi River has got so much potential. It's the most undeveloped area. When I go to the Zambezi and you drive all the way from Kariba down to Binga and all the way to Vic Falls, nothing has been done there. The next government of Zimbabwe that is coming should do a lot here on the Zambezi. There's so much potential and opportunity in the Zambezi River, and it's a beautiful area between Zambia and Zimbabwe. There's so much that can be done, but the Commonwealth is doing work there. They've got 3 members on the Zambezi River. Then I want to show you the picture of Buffalo Soldier. That's crazy, right? He shared this crazy picture here. So go and check Buffalo Soldier. I don't know if he's still singing or not, but it seems he's been very busy with something else. So let's recap and then look at the comments and then look at the newspapers. So I haven't had a chance to look at the newspapers. What is trending in South Africa is that the Post Office of South Africa, which has been making losses since 2022 of over 200%, has now made plans and is going to finalize the retrenchment of 4,900 employees. So 4,900 employees from the post office are going to be retrenched, and that is going to happen this week. It's a disaster. The Post Office of South Africa has been a disaster. They failed to compete, and now they're going to retrench all these workers. They've had no money. The money that they spend on employees is 150% of their revenue, and their loss every year is over 200% of their revenue. So they have to retrench those 4,900 employees, and you can go and check out that story in the Star newspaper. So now let's quickly recap, and then we'll go into the comments and go into the newspapers. So Auxilia Mnangagwa, she appears to have given up. She appears to have run out of steam, and she has pulled back. I don't know if that is a strategy or not, but the action now extends with General Chiwenga. What is General Chiwenga going to do? The succession battle in ZANU-PF is going to shape what happens in the future. Mnangagwa has failed to make an impact on Zimbabwe. In fact, he has made a negative impact. There's no president that has destroyed Zimbabwe the way Mnangagwa has done. Mnangagwa has made sure that Zimbabwe will never recover in the next 5 years. He has destroyed the currency to zero. So when Mnangagwa got into it, it was 1:1. And when the Zimbabwe dollar went to zero last week, that was almost 1:40,000. And the new ZiG has crashed in the first week by over 50%. So that is on the formal market. People in the formal market are selling the ZiG right now at between 15 and 17. And on the informal market is between 21 and 30. So Mnangagwa has destroyed the currency. He has made sure that nothing works. All his projects are not finished. And people are now looking forward to the next president. To make matters worse, Mnangagwa is accused of rigging the elections. He's been put on the sanctions list. This is a disaster under Mnangagwa, and I'm sure that all of you agree with me here that this is going to be one of the presidents that when he got in, people thought Mnangagwa was going to do well, but Mnangagwa has been a total disaster. So the people that are going to be watching now is Nelson Chamisa. Nelson Chamisa is out now. He's declared that he's not going to let this go. And General Chiwenga, who is going to be coming in next. And as my friends from Zephyr say, the dialogue is where everything's going to go. If people don't dialogue now, the next thing that you're going to see is very, very dangerous. So it's a moment where everyone needs to look for dialogue. If you don't have dialogue, things won't work, and everyone is going to lose out. So now let's quickly look at the comments, and then we'll move on to other things here. So I want to, in fact, before I move on, I want to refer you guys to our TikTok. Thank you for all your support. We've gained over 6,700 followers within the first week. So go over to our TikTok there and join us. We're going to be sharing a lot of nice stuff there. Gambakwe Media is going to be the biggest in terms of the things that we want to do. We want to support the media, we want to grow the media, and it's going to do very, very well. Then Comrade Tandy says, Mark Thatcher's son will tell you that this plane was ordered to land or they've taken down the Air Force of Zimbabwe. I think that there's a conversation there that is taking place that I didn't see, Comrade Tandi. So I didn't see the original conversation, so I'll look for it after we finish this. Then I'll respond to you. Mkoma Tinashe is saying Gambakwe talked of a drone. These guys have failed they're still living in the 1960s. They do not want modern technology. This is evident with outdated policy at the Reserve Bank. Yes, so let me explain to you about the drones. So I will tell you a few things. When you go to South Africa, there's a company called Denel. So Denel is like a local company here. They are equivalent of probably what Zimbabwe had with their military companies. They make drones. So I've had to look at the drones, and a drone was only, I think, 1.2 million rands. It was like a cheap car, but that drone would go into the air, and it got a high resolution camera, and you don't have to do a lot because it comes with the software. And if you were to put it up, let's say you put a drone over Harare, or you put a drone over Mtare, that means you'll be able to see about 40 to 50 kilometers or whatever. I don't know how many kilometers you'll be able to see without having to fly at a high cost. Because I don't know what fuel it uses, but it won't be the same as sending an Air Force person up in the air. You also don't need to train so many people to fly. And in Iran, they've got those little drones, very small drones, that can carry munitions. But what you need in Zimbabwe right now is to improve CCTV. You also need to improve technology in the military so that you can react in a smart way. And the military right now is not reacting in a smart way. They are using the wrong tactics. Take, for example, the website of the military is down. They're not on Twitter, they're not on Facebook. So the military of Zimbabwe does not become a friendly military. If you look at other countries, the military has got a face. So the military of Zimbabwe doesn't have a face. It is being used by politicians. I know the guys are trying to professionalize, but this is the problem we have. They are so in the past, such that someone will tell you about the days of Chimoyo if you're in the army, instead of telling you about a strategy which goes in the forward in the future. So that is where the change needs to come. And General Chiwenga, he's got a big job here because the military has become a stumbling block to change. So in Zimbabwe, the military has become a stumbling block to change because they're involved in politics, and that is not supposed to happen. Our military is not supposed to be in politics. Let me look at one or two other comments here. Mkoma Foster says, nothing from ZANU-PF can change Zimbabwe. Yes, correct. And then Mkoma Edward, we need the TikTok link, please. Just type Gambakwe Media on TikTok. You see us there. We are starting to build, and I promise that we'll be having 1,000 videos by the end of the year. And obviously, we are doing partnerships and also pursuing new strategies. The reason why Zimbabwe is the way it is right now is because young people don't have an opportunity and want to give young people an opportunity. The guys at the Ministry of Information are the worst people. Like literally, the Ministry of Information of Zimbabwe is the worst people. They are political and they don't understand the strategic and security implications of media. I've sent my guys to the Ministry of Information in the past. I have sent people to arrange a meeting with Genfan. Like literally, I'm not lying to you, and this is not a secret thing. I've sent people to, when Mnangagwa said Genfan should engage with the media, I sent my people to go and gave him a letter to say, Genfan, let's talk about how we can improve the media. No answer. I've looked at what is happening this week. They're setting up 2 media commissions to manage the media. So the existing one, they are setting up a second one to oversee the media. And there's zero funding for media in Zimbabwe. So Gambakwe can do this because he's been in the media for the past 14 years. It's very difficult to go into the media if you're a young person. There are multiple people that are not employed from the universities. Currently at Gambakwe, we've got over 10 graduates from NAST and all the other universities who are working here. And we've got multiple CVs that are waiting. People want to get into media. And the ZBC is a mess. Right now, as you speak, they fired the CEO. Mnangagwa's cousin is the chairman of the board. And it's the worst thing that you can ever see. So the media in Zimbabwe is not working. There is no access to internet. Outside of Harare, accessing internet is a struggle. And I can go on. That is the problem that we have with the internet. And we have to do this ourselves. So without the support of the ZANU-PF government, everyone has to do it themselves. But it's very, very difficult in Zimbabwe to get any support and the new media coming up. This is the problem that we have. And then mkoma big mat says ramba wakadzvanya Gambakwe usadzore tsvimbo nekuti gudo rakabata kumeso. So I want to support Nelson Chamisa in what he's doing. I think that's where we need to go. And we need to spend a bit of time on this. Chamisa has been quiet, looking at what is happening. I've been talking to the guys around Chamisa. But where we need to go now, we can't continue with this situation where the situation continues to deteriorate and people continue to be hungry. Mnangagwa ari kuuraya vanhu nenzara. Who doesn't know that? Kuti under Mnangagwa everyone is hungry. Even the guys around Mnangagwa, they're hungry. Mnangagwa has got no plan. He's got no plan because, take for example the land. He's got so much land, Mnangagwa. He has failed to give even land to his own people. Can you believe that no one in the military has even been given stands? You know, I said this how many years ago, that give those guys residential stand, create stands for them. So what they did with this guy was with housing, Garwe. They then went and created a program where they identified residential stands around the country, everywhere. And ZANU-PF came up with the housing strategy, which said teachers, soldiers, and all these people were going to get residential stands and farms. But it just stopped. You can even believe that they just stopped with no reason. No teacher got a stand, no soldier got a stand, no civil servant got a stand. They just stopped. And you've asked them what happened. That is because they keep making plans and they don't implement. Mnangagwa is known for incomplete projects. So the thing that Mnangagwa will be known for is incomplete projects. When he goes out of office, you're going to see that Mnangagwa has got multiple projects that are not complete. You can't even finish a road. The airport right now, the airport of here in Harare, is not complete. Last week they were touring that airport because work had stopped. Contractors are not getting paid, and that is what is going to crash the ZIG. So it's crazy. Gambakwe, have you noticed how come South Africa campaign are? So did NCC why Zimbabwe was election was condemned? South African election, things are going to blow up here if they don't handle the MK properly. So let's watch what they do with Zuma. It's going to blow up if they don't handle Zuma very quickly. And we're sick and tired with the Mnangagwa family. We don't take anymore. Yes, the Mnangagwa family, if they're not careful, because of the things that they're doing now, they're not understanding what they're doing. The ZIG, the day the ZIG goes to zero, if Professor Mgano is correct, by December, if the ZIG goes down to zero by December, that is the day you see the back of Mnangagwa. You're going to see the back of Mnangagwa. Mngoma Peter, I don't know what you're asking me. I never not respond to anyone. So let's go up. To Mngoma Peter, I don't not respond to anyone. And I don't take myself I don't take myself seriously to that extent. Like, you see, I believe in open communication. And I believe that no one should be ignored. And I don't take things personally. So Mngoma Peter is saying, you're laying about Java. It's just the same. Why doesn't he call them out? So Java, so let me tell you what I know about Java. And this is the end. I'm on 38 minutes now. I'm already 8 minutes late. Passion Java is a very wise guy. He's always surrounded by guys, many different people. And Mnangagwa is realized that Java is popular. So that's why he is associating himself with Java. And Java is also operating in Zimbabwe. So there are certain things that you can and cannot do. I don't know the intricacies of the relationship between Java and Scott and why he hangs out with him or why he hangs out with ZANU-PF. But from my experience with Java, he's a very wise person. If you sit with him, you will see the wisdom that Java has got. So that is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the issue with hanging out and calling out Scott. I don't think he can call out Scott. I also don't think Java has got enough money to do everything that he wants to do in Zimbabwe. So he probably depends on the help of some of these guys. I've never taken money from Java. I've never taken money from anyone. I'm not doing campaign work for Java. And Java doesn't have that money anyway. In fact, So I want to go a bit deeper into what happened in 2023. So in 2023, I had various projects in Zimbabwe. So I had projects in Harare and projects in Kariba with some of the people here. And at that time, I think we raised something like 1.5 million rands, and we went out and we were trying to buy land and everything. So I went and met a lot of people in ZANU-PF and outside of ZANU-PF, and it was not Passion Java. The guys I talked to were guys within ZANU-PF and guys in government. I also went and met guys in ZIDA. So the things I'm telling you about here are open and transparent. I took photos when I was going there. I didn't walk in the dark. Then we had a problem that Mnangagwa's guys, I don't know for what reason and why, they then sent intelligence to infiltrate our projects. So intelligence came and infiltrated our projects, started to cause confusion, and created multiple other groups inside there. So they took the WhatsApp lists and started to infiltrate our projects. Then I went to other people within ZANU-PF and I said, there are guys here who are infiltrating our projects, and I believe that these guys are coming from Mnangagwa's people. Why are you guys infiltrating our projects? What have we done to you? Because we're only doing normal work. So that's what I did. I flew to Zimbabwe to talk to people. I also went and talked to Prophet Angel. That is the day you saw me at Prophet Angel. And I then gave a call to Mkomana Sean Mnangagwa. And I said to them, guys, I'm having problems here. I called a lot of people, explained to them that we've got a lot of problems. And eventually, some people went to court and we had fake phantom court cases, which if you Google right now, I will give you the court case number if you want. They went to court and some of them went to Simbachi Kansas platform. You can go and look at Simbachi Kansas platform. And I eventually abandoned the thing and I just left it because it made no sense for me to keep going to Zimbabwe to do projects that were costing me millions and millions. And I left it. But during that point, that time when I was in Zimbabwe, one of the days I actually arranged to meet Java, Passion Java. He was in the United States of America. I arranged to meet with him in Zimbabwe. And he said, let's meet in Zimbabwe and let's talk about these issues. So I met with Passion Java in Harare. And he was not able to assist with anything. So you can see that I don't have a grudge against Java, but I don't work with Java. I don't work with any of the guys in ZANU-PF. The thing is, when I sit with somebody, I can tell whether that person is a good person or not. And basically, someone like Java is not going to hurt you. He's not going to destroy you. In fact, if you talk to Java and you spend time with him, you will learn a lot. And there are very nice guys in ZANU-PF, a lot of nice guys in ZANU-PF. But there are also a lot of very useless people. That is the only word I can use. People that do not understand what needs to be done in the country. What is the relationship of the diaspora with Zimbabwe? You saw that thing that they did in Masvingo, where they tried to bring the diaspora into Zimbabwe. You cannot bring the diaspora into Zimbabwe without bringing the media or without bringing Gambakwe. How many times have I been working on diaspora projects in Zimbabwe? And they'll never call. That is because ZANU-PF politicizes everything. They don't understand where we need to go. And that is why I'm always talking about this. And then CN says, what happened to ED government crashing in April? ED bought time with the ZIG. The Mnangagwa government had already crashed by the time I said what I said. That is why you saw they put the ZIG in, they fired the Mangunjga. Remember what I said to you. It doesn't mean if I tell you something is going to crash today, to crash that day. People will try to fix it. But Mnangagwa is going. The days of Mnangagwa are over. This is the post-Mnangagwa era. You will not see Mnangagwa by December. The ZIG is going to crash to zero. And the day the ZIG crashes to zero, that is when you're going to see the back of Mnangagwa. And Mnangagwa is not going to be able to do anything about this thing. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining here. And Mkoma Masia, I see you. Thank you, everyone, for joining here. And you can rely on the things that we're saying. We are in a period of change. And Chamisa needs to step up here. People love Chamisa. He's going to play a big part. But currently, my prediction is that the succession battle between General Chiwenga and Mnangagwa is going to become very, very important. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. let me run, let me do other things that need to be done. And if anything big happens, I'll beg in the evening. But this morning, we're going to have Dr. Clarence. We're also going to have all the other guys who are in Harare assisting us here. Please support all these guys. And let's see how we can improve our country. We're on the verge of major change, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Nothing can stop it. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and a good day to you all.